Are we live, Cushy? Did Cushy freeze? I think Cushy froze. Hi, everyone. I'm here with Cushy on that side, who I think has frozen. But we're, technical issues. Let's get them out the way.
And I'm back. I think I had some technical issues over there.
No worries.
So I'm really sorry. I think I'm having some technical issues. I think all of you can hear me now. Eddie, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. All is good.
Awesome. Work from home people. This quite happens. Sorry for that technical glitch. But hi, everyone. And okay, that was weird. But hey, we have Eddie with us. And because you people have been buzzing so much, and we thought we should come live early, so we just came in before 2-3 minutes, and at 8:30 we are here live. So hi everyone, thank you so much for joining in. Eddie, we already have 22 folks here, all for you. And
I'm super excited. I can't wait to geek out. The chat is on fire. So thank you all so much for saying hi in the chat and to each other as well. I love seeing when people collaborate in the chat. It makes me so warm and fuzzy and happy inside. So thank you all so much.
And this is one of my favorite streams. I always love geeking out with Eddie. And I think this is again that one session which I have been looking forward to. Thank you so much, Siddharth, for setting this up. We should also give a quick shout out to Siddharth. He was always there in setting this up. And so I think we should start with today's stream. So people, we have Eddie Jaoude with us, GitHub Star of the Year, the founder of Eddie Hub. And I should not also forget mentioning the god of open source. So we have Eddie with us today, and he'll be there having a very fun session on how to make your open source project a success. And even I'm looking forward to it because my open source journey started with Eddie's video, and I'll follow along. So Eddie, all over to you now.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here and collaborate with Hackon. I always love geeking out with you all. And yeah, I'm just super excited. I can still see the energy in the chat, loads of familiar names and also lots of new ones as well. So I love that. I get to meet more people. And also I get to get feedback on my talk and the example repo. Well, the example repo I'm going to use is not an example repo. It is actually a client repo. So it is real. And I just want to improve it more and more. So it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Awesome. So I think we should start with the session because people are already waiting and people won't like me being here and people will like you getting the session on. So I'll just quickly remove myself from the stream, but I'll be there and I'll keep you updated with all the questions. So you can just start and I'll keep you updated.
Awesome. Right, we've got over 20 people watching. Please give the video a thumbs up, help support Hackon. So what are we going to do today? Let's see, let's have a think. Actually, don't worry, I have planned something. I'm not going to wing it. Have planned it. Today, we're going to get your open source project to stand out. And we'll also talk about, why this is important and why you should care. I'll do lots of screen sharing. There will not be any PowerPoint or presentation or slides. I will be screen sharing. So I'm super excited. We're going to cover things like your Readme, what you should include on it, your releases, branches, automation of GitHub Actions. Make some noise in the chat. Woo! GitHub Actions, game changer, and so much more. We've got about 55, 60 minutes before Cushy kicks me out. So I'm going to try and finish early so we have lots of extra time to geek out at the end together, but also ask questions as you go along. I see Cushy's back. Cushy, what did I miss? Yeah. What did I mess up?
I'm not going to kick you out. I was just about to say that. But let me know when you want me to just have your screen up there and I'll just get myself out there.
Awesome. Yep, no worries. I will give you a shout in a few moments.
Awesome.
So yes, so we have got lots of time, but it will go fast because I know we'll be having lots of fun. I am going to try and keep an eye on the chat. So if I'm looking over this way, just to let you know, I'm looking at your chat down there, which is your screen. So hi everyone. So I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but too many screens, too many things going on. So I mentioned I'll try and do a light touch and then we'll get your feedback and we can dig deeper into the areas that you're really interested in. And I love questions. I love Q&A. So please ask your questions as you go along. And if you forget, you can ask at the end, or if I miss it, then just, ask again. That's fine. Just, put it back in the chat later on. And if you can, put a Q in front of your message if it's a question to me. So therefore me and Cushy can see it stand out. and do network with other people in the chat, which I think lots of you are doing already, by answering each other's questions. I'm here to start the conversation, to share my experience. And so I'll gladly and happily answer a question, but someone else might have a different point of view, which is epic, which is where I can learn so much as well. So do share your thoughts. And apologies in advance if I missed your question, but do ask it again and we will get around to it. One last thing before we get started: support the awesome Hack-On event by taking a screenshot and sharing it on socials. And that will be great. But if you want to grow your network and stand out even further, when you take that screenshot and you share it on socials, not only tag Hack-On and me, but include something you've learned, like 1 or 2 or 3 tips. Therefore, we will then share it with our network. We'll reshare it because it's added value than just a screenshot. The screenshot is great, it's engaging, but if you can add value to your message, like, oh, I learned tip 1, 2, and they were great, I'm going to use them, then other people will learn from that when we retweet it, and then your network will grow from that as well. So love that. Two-way street. We're all here to learn and share and lift each other up. And I already mentioned chatting to people in the audience, which I think is awesome. I see the chat's going crazy as well. Awesome to have you all here. The Eddie station. Yes. Too much kit. All the gear and no idea is what people tell me. Just a really quick one line about myself. Kushi did the best intro, so thank you so much, Kushi. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a self-taught OpenStack open source, full stack DevOps developer with over 15 years experience. I'm a GitHub Star and a GitHub Star of the Year. That's 1 out of 55 million people on GitHub. I think that's 55 million people in 2019, and that's probably increased a lot. But anyway, 1 out of 1,000, I'd still be super happy. But 1 out of 55 million, I am, still shocked by being selected. So thank you so much, everyone who voted and the awesome GitHub team. My life goal is to get you all into open source so you can stand out from the crowd. And remember, open source is not just about code. So we're going to talk about everything today. It is not just about code. It's collaboration first, code second. And why is this important? So you can get the job, clients, and money that you deserve. So if that sounds good to you, give the Hack-On video a thumbs up. Right, who's ready to get started? Open ops. Thanks, Yash. I've missed so many things in the chat. Okay, well, I love it. I'll have to catch up with it later on, but I won't do it now because otherwise I'll eat too much into the time.
Eddie, I've already added the stream up there. So awesome. And I think people are already going crazy over there. So I think we should start now.
Let's do it. Okay, so behind me is my GitHub profile. Let me get rid of that. We don't need that. Let's go to this client repo. I've called it Stargate. I actually probably need to rename it, but I really want to show you how you can make a project stand out. And you may think, Eddie, but you've only got like 45 stars and 29 forks. It doesn't really stand out. This was like a foundation project as an example. So it is an example project, but it was an example project for a client. So there's not a lot of code changes going on. So don't worry about that. We're going to focus on everything else around it. And I use this for my other projects. So let's go. As I mentioned, it's a client repo. But I'll tell you a secret. It's not perfect. I'm always making tweaks and improvements, especially with your questions and feedback. So what's the first thing you notice about this project? If you look at this, like, what's the first thing you notice? If I scroll down, oh, there's some badges missing. I think that's the service that I'm using. If I refresh that, the badges should reappear. I've just refreshed it and it should reappear. Maybe the service is down. But what are the things that you notice about this repo? I would like to know. And so while you're thinking about it and writing it in the chat, I want to say why you should care about making your repository stand out, be professional. So it's no surprise that more and more hiring managers, recruiters, developing managers, whatever you want to call them, are using GitHub to find people and to vet people to hire. And I really believe that with 20% of the effort, you can get 80% of the benefit. I mean, doesn't that sound good? I mean, write yes in the chat if that sounds good. Okay, I'm not going to look too much at the chat because I will get distracted. I love it though. Brilliant. Loads of energy. Thank you all so much for the support. And at the end of the talk, I will share a free download checklist for project maintainers that you can use. So yes, many of your projects might be a side project. It might be for fun. But people make decisions on seeing your profile and the projects that you contribute to. I know some of you may be thinking, well, I'll just make it private then. No, don't do that. Definitely make it public. Even if you're learning, even if you make a project that's better afterwards, keep everything public. Because when I hire people for my clients, I like to look back 3 months, 6 months ago, look back at your previous project, not your latest one, your previous one. And I want to see in your latest work, your latest project, are you doing things better? Have you made improvements? And so if your older work, even if side projects are private, I can't see that. And so having that there is really important. People want to see your journey and they want to join you for your journey as well. And also they're really keen to see how you collaborate with the community. Because, testing your technical skills is much easier, but collaborating and communicating with people is a lot harder to test. And on GitHub, you can really show that. Because remember, GitHub is a social platform. So do get involved in other people's projects and allow people to get involved in your projects. And that's what we're going to show you today, how we can encourage and make it easier for people to get involved in your projects. But remember, you do not need to accept every contribution that's made to your project. It's how you handle it that's important. If someone wants to make a contribution, be positive and supportive. And if you don't want to accept the pull request or the issue, then explain in 1 or 2 lines why and be grateful. What else? Looking through my notes, I've got like so many things I want to cover. How are we doing on time? Wow, time is going fast when you're having fun. And one thing that I recommend to people who want to contribute to projects, and also I recommend to my clients who are looking to hire people, is go to the closed pull requests that were not merged. Remember, not merged. So you'll get a list on the pull requests that have been closed and the ones that have been merged. Look at the ones that have been closed, so not merged, and see how the maintainers handle the situation. Because all these companies or open source projects, they want collaborative teams. So it's really important to show that you're collaborative and you can communicate. Like I mentioned, tech skills can be more easily taught. Okay, so hopefully you've written in the chat, open stack. Hopefully you've all written in the chat what you noticed about this project. I'm having a quick flick through tags, releases, GitHub actions. Okay, awesome. So one thing that I do want to point out is on this repo, on this project, I have used every feature that you see, but I have not used every feature on GitHub. And that's really important. So I just want to make the distinction between the two. As you can see, releases are used, sponsors is used, package, all this stuff, environment is all used. I'm not saying you have to use it. I'm saying the ones that are displayed should be used. So if you look along the tabs along the top, there's no wiki. It's because I don't use the wiki. I do have documentation. We'll get to that. But there's no wiki tab because I don't use it. So if you don't use the discussion tab, remove it. Only have things that you use. And if you don't use them at the beginning, which is normal, you might use a lot less features, then you can disable them. Let me give you an example. If I hit on the cog on the top right here, next to the about, I can enable and disable releases, packages, and environments. If you're not using those, disable them for now, hide them from your page. And when you do use them, enable them. That's really important because then you're getting people to focus on what you're using rather than what you're not using. And same with the tabs along the top. You can go to settings, and you can scroll down, and you can see I've disabled the wiki. I've got issues, I've got sponsorships, I've got project boards, which we're going to come to very soon. Table of contents, again, we'll come to that very soon, and discussions. So enable the things that you're using and definitely remove the things you're not using. Okay, hopefully I haven't missed any questions in the chat. I'm just kind of a quick skim through. I'm looking for cues, no cues, so I think I'm okay. If I did miss anything, please copy and paste it again, and my apologies. Okay.
So we don't have any questions. I just came here quickly to tell you. I'll keep you updated, so don't worry about that.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay.
So I mentioned hiding everything that you're not using. That's really important. I suppose if there's only 1 or 2 or 3 takeaways I would suggest from today's live stream is that's definitely number 1 or one of the top 3, let's say, takeaways. If you're not using it, hide it. So let's start at the beginning of this repo. Now we've got kind of a good foundation. Description. GitHub gives us this section for description. Make use of it. This is what people's eyes are kind of drawn to. make use of that. Just one line. Don't try and, make it half a page long. One line, and you can put more in the README. That's really important. And you're not going to get it perfect. You can add to it as it goes on. You can change it. You can update it. I probably need to update this as well. Link to a deployed version of the website. In this case, is to go into GitHub Pages, which is where the docs deploy to. And again, I'll show you that shortly. I'm using topics. I should probably update those as well. And then README. And then you've got the license. So these are important. Make sure you have got these. Okay, before we go any further, there's actually a check that you can do. And those of you from the Eddie Hub community have heard me say this 100 times when I review people's open source projects on the live stream. You can go to the Insights tab, and you can go to the community link down the left, and you can actually see how your project's looking or how someone else's project's looking. So if you want to contribute to a project, check that you're happy with the status of the project, but also you can maybe make a contribution if something's missing. So you can have a look at this. I haven't got a contributing file, so that is something that I need to work on. But definitely have most of these ticked. I think the important ones to have is description, README, code of conduct, license, and issue template. Those are probably the most important to have people, think your project's serious and people want to contribute to it. Okay, question and test for you all. What is one of the most important files in your repo? It's probably the file you create first, and it's the file that's probably the most updated. Hopefully that should give you a clue, because, license might be one of the files you create first, but you never really update it. So what is the file that is probably one of the most important and should be updated the most? README. Prathamesh, thank you so much. And we've got other people. Awesome. Yes, the README is one of the most important files in the repo, because when you scroll down, as you all know, it is the one that is displayed to you first. So the first page of that repo is really important. And I'm not saying this README is perfect. There are always improvements I can make, but the first page of this README is really important. And some people make it kind of waste it. Either they have the default generated one, or the file's missing. I don't know why you'd have a missing README file, or it's empty. So you definitely want things in there. So if there's a number two, like a second thing you take away from this talk, is make sure your README is there and it is up to date and useful and awesome. Get people to raise issues. So if you're looking at this, I don't know if Kush is able to share a link to this repo in the chat. But if you're looking at this, if some things don't make sense or things are unclear, not the coding side, but everything else, and raise an issue, you'll get a green square, and I'll get to make an improvement to the project. Or you can make an improvement to the project and get more green squares. But trust me, it's not perfect. This is a living project and a living file. It will be the most up-to-date, updated file in your project, and it will be the first impression that people get. It's previewed to people. So what should you include in your README? I think you should include badges at the top. But, I've kind of got issues and fork badges. You know what? Can someone raise an issue and remind me to remove those? Because you can see those at the top right. I don't really think those are, important badges that are needed. Same with a license. That can be gone too. Looks good to me, alert. Okay, we'll keep that. We should probably, we've got lots of GitHub Actions running, which we're going to come to in a bit. If I give you a quick preview, we've got lots of GitHub Actions running. We should probably add badges to this in the top of the README. So if someone can raise an issue for that as well. So we're giving away lots of green squares today. I want to make your GitHub profiles active. But remember, when you raise an issue, give context as much as possible, because if I look at this in a week, I am really behind in my GitHub notifications. So super apologies to everyone who's waiting on me to look at GitHub notifications. I think about 3,000 notifications to go through since the weekend. But give context, because that's really important. It's actually one of the tests that I give to people when I interview for my clients. Is we talk about an issue about a project like we are now, and I ask them to raise an issue about it. And I want to see, do they give context? When someone else who wasn't involved in the conversation, can they understand what we talked about and what was going on, and can they pick up the ticket and run with it? So the idea is you maybe take a screenshot of this and say forks and stars not needed, and raise an issue. Because remember, your potential employers, future clients are all going to be looking at your activity on your project. If you do raise the issues, awesome, but give it as much context as possible so it makes sense. Yes, I think badges first, or a title, I should say, then badges. And then, next, I would probably say Maybe quick start if you want to get started. Any prerequisites? Screenshots. I mean, screenshots are really important. So here's a screenshot here. I don't think you should have probably 10 screenshots in a README, but a good place is to put them in the README. And as it grows too long, you can move things to a doc folder, which is what we did, which I'll also show you shortly. One thing I noticed is that people do a massive table of contents, which used to be really good. So if you've had one there for a while, that's awesome. That's really good. But it's time to remove it. Do you know why? Does anyone know why? Well, as you see me scrolling down, if you've used Markdown correctly with the right headings, you get this new icon that appears at the top left. And you get table of contents. You don't need to waste like half a page on a table of contents. One already exists already. Oh, are you back on the stream, Kushi? Do you have a question for me?
We do have some questions. Do you want to answer them now? Or
let's do it.
I was also talking about if you can send me the link, there's a private chat option and in the right section of the StreamYard. I'll just remove your stream and you can just share to me the link and I'll share that in the chat section. Until then, we do have some questions. And the first one that we have is from Yash, which is any GitHub actions for CSS-based projects?
Oh, that's a good question. To be honest, I haven't had a look in a long time, and there are actions coming out all the time. And people who are maybe nervous about GitHub actions, you are going to see how straightforward it is to get actions going. Again, I want to use the same tagline I used before. 20% of the effort, mostly copy and paste. You're going to get 80% of the benefit. And then yes, you can go much more advanced, but you really don't need to do that for most projects. So let's have a quick look. You can go to Marketplace at the top. And then you can scroll down, you can go to actions and look, wow, 8,500 actions. Last time I looked, this was like at 5,000. It was only a few months ago. So it's changing all the time. So you've got actions and then you could search for CSS and you could have a look. So we've got actions filtered by CSS, there's 18 results, got minifiers, images, there's lots of stuff. I haven't had a look at these. I will have a look at these later on. Well, let me know if you find anything. Then yeah, we can share tips afterwards. That looks really interesting. It's a great question.
Awesome. So we do have another question, which I do agree to, I think. So Siddharth asked, when Eddie said OpenStack, can we actually consider it as an invention of a new job role?
I actually think there is a technology by IBM or Rackspace or something that exists with that name, OpenStack. I'm sure that exists already. OpenStack, yeah, it does exist.
Awesome. So I think
okay. So apologies, we can't use that.
Okay, and we have another question, which is what's an issue template?
Oh, we will get to that. Bear with me, stay tuned. I've got a section on issue template, so we will get to that. But to give you a kind of a teaser or a spoiler, it's when someone creates an issue, it pre-populates it already. So therefore you just need to fill in the details. So you can have different templates. You can have ideas or bugs. If it's a bug, you might ask them to include a screenshot. We'll get to that. Stay tuned. So thank you so much for that question. And apologies, I didn't explain that properly before. I'll make an improvement to my notes. So thank you.
I think we can move to your content now, and I'll just keep a look on the questions. Okay. Awesome.
Perfect. Sounds good. And Karuna says, how to create a GitHub action of your own. Oh, that's a conversation for another time, Karuna. I do have a video on that, but that's probably more of an in-depth talk. You can do it with JavaScript. You can do it just with YAML. There's so many things you can do, but yes, it's a great question. I have a video on it. If it's not clear, I can make a part 2 or 3 to the video if you need. Okay, my screen is being shared. Okay, so you don't need a table of contents, as I mentioned, because now it's built in. Don't waste that space. You got to, in open source, you need to really appreciate people's time and people's space. So give context so people don't have to think, well, this person said, following our conversation. It's like, what conversation? I've had like 100 conversations since yesterday. I'm talking about on DMs on Twitter or on Discord. So give context, but also don't write an essay and don't make people scroll further than they need to. It sounds really easy, but the easier you can make it for people to digest and understand your project, the more contributors, the more stars, the more forks, the more impressive and professional it will be. Okay, so another file we're going to talk about is the contributors file. And I think I had this missing in this project, but this is an important file as well. Contributors file. Some people write a kind of a big contributors file and how to clone the project using Git, how to contribute. And that's good. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I think there's a lot of duplication there. At a minimum, you should help people understand how they can contribute. And by contribute, I don't mean git clone and that sort of thing. I mean, if they have a question, should they raise an issue? Should they start a discussion? Should they go to your Discord? Make it clear where people can go to ask for help. And the help might just be how to get started. And as you get those questions, you can improve your contributing file. And share your preferences or what you prefer. Most of the time, I like to have people start a discussion because you can have lots of threaded conversations, and I can give you a demo of that shortly. And then issues are more for actionable things. There's a bug or there's a feature. So you might take the result of a GitHub discussion and move it to a GitHub issue. Therefore, it can be assigned to someone. People can do some work on it. Therefore, a pull request can be raised against it. And so on. And remember, it's collaboration first, code second. That's why we say that in Eddie Hub, because you start off usually with the discussion. That's collaboration. You raise an issue of the actions that has been agreed. That's still a discussion and it's still a collaboration. And then you raise a pull request, and you might be thinking, well, what's a pull request? What's a PR, Eddie? PR is short for pull request, by the way. Well, it's effectively an issue with some changes attached to it: documentation changes, code changes, test changes. So it's literally collaboration, discussion, the issue is collaboration, pull request, collaboration. So it's a lot of collaboration and only a little bit of changes. So that's really important. That's what I want to massively highlight. And you might also include things in the contributors file like your commit style. And commit style is quite important. I think a lot of you are going to like this. I highly recommend the conventional commit messages, because then we can combine that with conventional changelog library, which has a GitHub action. Then we can combine that with a release creation, and these two together, it can automatically generate a release for you and the changelog with a few lines of YAML. Literally, you can do that. Let me give you a quick teaser, and I'll go into details later on how you can do that. So this, for example, is the releases. I don't create these manually. These are created automatically for me each time I merge the default branch, which is main. So for example, we have v0.8, and it bumped the middle number, the minor, because a feature was done. And then you can see 0.7.1 was bumped because from the previous one. So it went from 0.7.0 to 0.7.1 because it was a bug fix. So the build number or the bug fix number got bumped. And you can see this. And if I go down, you'll see some bigger ones. Look at this. All these bug fixes in this release with issue numbers, commits, and then the features. And I didn't write that. That was generated for me automatically. And I want to show you how to do that, because that, again, having releases is super professional. Having it automated is like next level stuff. Okay. Where did I get to? I got carried away. I got too excited. GitHub Actions. Eddie, calm down. We'll get to actions soon. License file. You need to pick a license file that works for your project or for you. And you can go to choosealicense.com. Let me just bring that up. I have a video on this as well if you want to check it out. Let me make this a bit bigger. It gives you some examples. So MIT license is used by Babel, .NET Core, Rails, and then GNU. GLP is used by Ansible, Bash, and GIMP. And then if you want more choices, you can go click on more, and then it lists them, and then it gives you kind of the comparison between them, and it kind of explains a bit more about it as you hover. Licensing is really important, really, really important. This website was done by GitHub, so it is like pretty awesome. And my YouTube video includes some pros and cons and some of my favorite licenses. Because remember, some people will not contribute to a project if it doesn't have a license, because not having a license doesn't help. It's not clear. You fall back to the GitHub terms and conditions. And some people think this is more open, and some people think this is more closed. So remove the confusion, remove the kind of the pause of people when they think, is it more open? Is it more closed? What's going on? Give it a license, and it'll be crystal clear. And again, you'll get more contributors. And when you're creating a repo, you get asked these questions. So it should be pretty easy to do that. Okay, my next favorite one, code of conduct. Oh, Kushi's back. Sorry, Kushi. Are there more questions?
No, so I'm just here. I'm just kind of having a take on all the questions. So don't worry.
Okay, no worries. Well, give me a. If I miss it on my other screen, give me a nudge, and I can pause and we can answer some questions. Okay. Oh, there is a question. I've just seen a question from Koalia. Should we have a look at that? It's got a Q with square brackets. Sure. Like, stands out like.
Sure.
Hope
I'll just
hopefully I haven't
read out
missed
the
it.
question.
Yeah, please do.
So, which candidate would you select as a HR person using best practices and growing slowly, or a person who's lacking best practices but experimenting continuously in learning?
Oh, good question. I'm trying to understand the difference between the two. So, person using best practices and growing slowly. That sounds good. If they're growing slowly and consistently, that's really important. You know, like I always say in the Eddie Hub community live streams, it's like brushing your teeth. You know, you don't think, oh my God, tonight I've got to go brush my teeth. Oh, I've got to plan it. It's a disaster. What am I going to do? You just go brush your teeth. It's something you do. It's easy. You don't think about it. And if you miss a day, your teeth aren't going to fall out. Like if you fell asleep in front of the TV, your teeth aren't going to fall out or go yellow or anything like that. But over the months, over the years, the benefit of brushing your teeth every morning and evening is massive. And that's the same with open source. It's the same with our learnings. Just if you can learn one thing today, and if you can help someone to learn one thing today, I guarantee you, you will be super successful. So the flip side, person lacking best practices but experimenting continuously in learning. I mean, if they're experimenting continuously in learning, then they are going to pick up the best practices. They might take shortcuts because it's a hackathon, or they're focusing on this quick project for the week, the weekend, the month that isn't focused on best practices. It's focused on learning a new library or framework. Then that's different. So it really depends. I think if it's a project that you want to have longevity, then do the best practices. If it's something you're just playing with for a week to try out a new library or framework, then don't worry about it. But just make it clear in the README. So when someone is looking, and in the description on the about, just on the right-hand side, make it clear that this is learning, you know, Nest.js or whatever it is. And then people just know that you were just having a bit of fun, and that's why it hasn't, you know, kind of got the best practices in place. But once you've done the best practices, you will see how simple it is to do it. Like, how cool, let me know out of 10 in the chat, how cool was the releases with the Semver release number and the changelog in there? Like, let me know how cool that was. And I'll show you, you can probably do it in under 30 seconds. Once you've done it once. It might take you 2 minutes the first time you do it, but once you do it once, it takes like 30 seconds. So that's my point. A lot of best practices are hard and scary when you get started, but do them once or twice. You can add them really easily.
So we have another question from Kevalia, and the question is, does using linters, Husky or Docker, etc. to your project make your project stand out?
Yes and yes, but probably not for the reason maybe that everyone is thinking. So it's good for us to clarify that. It's a great question. So linters, definitely, because if you're not using a linter and you need to run it on a GitHub action, and again, that's really simple to do, and I can show that shortly. Then when you get a pull request, it's going to be, oh, your indentation's wrong. Oh, you haven't got, I don't know, your formatting's wrong, or whatever it is. And so linters, prettier, because linters will help with coding styles, printer will help with the formatting. So prettier will help, not printers. Prettier will help with the formatting. And it's important to have those. So therefore, when someone raises a pull request, you're not chatting about like the boring stuff, you know, spacing, etc., and so on. You're chatting about the value and the important changes in the pull request. So that's really, really important. So yes, definitely have those. And they are really easy to set up. So I think that's important. I think there was something else, Husky and Docker. Husky, yes. I think a lot of people forget to run the linters locally, you know, myself included. So by having Husky, it's got this pre-hook. So when you do a git commit locally, it will automatically run the lint and check. Nothing wrong with it, because if you've got it running on GitHub Action, they'll get notified. But usually it's the project maintainer that says, thanks for the PR. It's not formatted correctly, or we don't use this coding style. Can you change it? And you're kind of wasting the maintainer's time and your time of this conversation back and forth. Make it as simple as possible, like automate everything. Yes, things will slip through the net and so forth, but using something like Husky will not remove the conversation, because the conversation is important, but it will be on the valuable conversation, not on the stuff that's kind of not important. Hopefully that answered that question. I love that question. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. We have 2 other questions. Would you like to answer them now?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So we have one question from Harshvardhan, which is more important, FOSS or paid open source?
Could you clarify when you say paid open source, do you mean like you're providing support for it as a paid? If you can just clarify, give me an example of the model. It's not like WordPress or something like that. If you could just clarify, and we'll come back to that.
Definitely. I think Harshvardhan are in the chat, so maybe you can just clarify that. While on the other front, we can take another question from Prathamesh, which is he's really interested in knowing how we can make those automated change logs. Is there enough time to know how we can do it too?
The answer to that is really quick and is about as long as it's going to take me to show you. It's yes. It's like so straightforward. The important thing is in your repo is writing the right commit messages, and I'll show you that too. I'm looking at the clock. We've got like 25 minutes left.
Yeah.
So we will get to that. Don't worry. And if not, we'll still get to it. Don't worry. We'll make it. It's important because I want to show everyone how it's not hard to have a good, like a best practice project. Okay,
I think,
cool.
Harshvardhan just quickly replied about paid open source as in Red Hat.
Okay, and then we read the question again to remind me that which is more important. Important, I don't think either is more important, right? You know, Red Hat's open source. They got sold for I don't know how many billions, like 30 billion or whatever it was. So I don't know if I can answer that question. I don't think anybody can. You got to do what works for you, your project at that time, and you might change it later, like as you learn more about the community, about the project. I believe everything to be open and transparent, and I just think, yeah, just everything open and transparent. So I'm showing you my client repo, which is open source. I bring my clients into my live streams and show you how we collaborate. There's no point in hiding anything. It's actually, we only all benefit by having these open and transparent conversations, because we might be doing a live stream with my clients and they'll say, oh, we worked with Eddie on this, we like this, but we didn't like that. And someone might say, oh, have you thought about this? And we'll be like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. So I understand there are different business models. So you got to do what's best for you and what your kind of goal is and where you're spending your effort. That's all I can say really on that subject.
Awesome. I think we're done with the questions, and also just having a check on the time. I think I should just let you complete the content now.
No, it's always awesome to geek out with you, Kushi. So thank you so much. Keep jumping in as you see questions and so forth.
Sure.
Okay, so code of conduct, really, really important. And you don't have to write this. I mean, the code of conduct, again, is in my top 3. I think we've kind of almost got to the limit of my top 3. I might say top 5 things that you need to do. Just like license, it's really, really important. And I know people won't contribute to a project if it doesn't have a code of conduct. So you're alienating so many people who probably want to contribute to your project, but they won't contribute to it. They won't use it because there isn't a code of conduct. And you don't have to write one. Don't think, oh my God, I need to write one to get a lawyer. No, there are templates you can use. So it's super simple. There are no excuses. And then if you ever need to enforce the code of conduct for whatever reason, you've got a reason, something to back you up. You say, I'm going to kind of delete this issue because it violates our code of conduct. I've never had that, so all is okay, but it's good just to have that safety net. And maybe I don't have any of those issues because I have a code of conduct. People read it and see that it's not an issue. So it's really, really important. And like I said, there's a template. You just can add it in. Really, really simple. Issue templates. Okay, now we're getting into templates. Issue templates. So let's have a look at issue templates. So if I go to the issue section and I go to new, we are going to talk about issues and labels. It's all coming up very soon. Stay tuned. Has everyone given this video a thumbs up? I hope you have. I'm watching you. So when I click on new issue, if you see, I've got bugs, docs, and ideas. It doesn't just open the form that you're probably all used to. It's because we have templates in our repo. So if someone wants to raise an idea or raise a bug or raise a doc, they'll get a different template. Let me show you what one looks like. This is the template. So it's got a description. So if I hit preview, this is what it will look like. And they just need to fill in the bits that are commented out. Screenshots. So therefore, you're kind of encouraging and helping people to know how to raise a good issue. Like, make it easier for them. Like, why would you not? And you don't have to write these from scratch. Come and steal, borrow, use, fork, mine. It's fine. You can do that. Make improvements to this. Get your green squares. Like I said, my clients and community look at this project for, inspiration and so forth. Make a contribution to this project, improve the issue template, then you get on their radar. And it's a social network. I want to keep reminding people that it's not just like it started off with, where it was just a Git repo. It's a social platform. The point I want to make is there are issue templates, and to raise an issue template is really straightforward. In the .github folder, you have issue template folder, and you put these templates in here. So if we open the bug one, let me have a look at the bug one. This is what it looks like, but let me just go to raw so you can actually see what it looks like. This is what it would look like. This is what you saw in the body of the issue. And then this is some config. So it's the name that you saw on the page and the list of issues available, what it's about. If you want a default title, you can like prepend it with bug or something. What labels it should be assigned, and we're going to get into labels shortly. And should you assign it to anyone? You can leave these empty. None of them are required. Entirely up to you. So that's like issue template. Make it easier for people to get a green square, so they'll want to contribute to your project. Definitely. I'm gonna jump in, Kushi, and answer a question. Let's see, because there's two questions, and I really like Anthony's question. But let me answer Koalia's first.
Sure, I'll just read out.
Yeah, read it out, please. Yeah.
Sure. So the question from Koalia is: can we add external payment links like Buy Me Coffee, PayPal to your sponsor file rather than GitHub's default? Because we don't have GitHub sponsors enabled in many countries. Yeah, we don't have that in India either.
Yes. So GitHub sponsors is amazing, but you're right. It's like last time I checked, it was in 37 countries, which is brilliant. They take no commission, so it's great, but it's not available in all countries yet. And that, yes, my fingers are crossed. I'm hoping that it's available in India soon, because there's so many people I'd like to sponsor. Yes, you can. When you add it, you can add PayPal. You can add, I think you mentioned some other examples.
Buy Me Coffee, yeah. Buy
Me Coffee, Patreon. You can add those. It's just a config file. I think it's in GitHub, and then funding file. And then here you can actually have multiples. You could actually put multiples and different people. There's different things that you can do. So yes, that is completely possible.
Awesome. We have another question from Anthony. Is there a minimum level of technical knowledge needed to make contributions to open source?
There is a minimum level, and the minimum level is 0. Well, okay, let's just say 1, because you need to be able to open a browser and type in github.com and use a mouse. That's like the only requirement. Really is. I have my entire team. And I actually have a section in my in my talk later on. But I have my entire team who aren't coders using GitHub. So we use project boards, which I want to get to shortly, but I hope there's enough time. Where, with my video editor, with Sarah, who helps me create content and as my community manager, we all the entire team plan we're using GitHub. There might be no code for those projects, but I love the project board, love the issues, love the labels, love the automation. And so that's really, really important. We put some of our templates in there that we might use for other platforms. So yes, the barrier to entry is really low, although it's quite scary when you first come to GitHub. I do get that. So that's why I love it how everyone in the tech community is super supportive and super encouraging, because they want people to get involved. So they just need to have an email address, create a free account on GitHub, and get involved. And people think, oh, I only want the experts to join my project. I want like the best people. I don't want those. They're the best people. I want a variety of people. I want some good people, don't get me wrong, but I want the people who are new to tech, the people who are new to GitHub, because they're going to look at the repo and go, this doesn't make sense. I'm like, right, let's improve it. Let's make it better for the next person. I love it when I get a new person to a project, or a new open source contributor, or a new person on a client project, because they say, Eddie, okay, I need an intro. Is someone going to walk me through the project, what to do? No. Have a look at the repo. And if you can't understand it and you can't get it working, it doesn't make sense, there's nothing wrong with you, there's something wrong with the project. And they can add so much value on their first hour by looking at it, or the first day. They can look at it and go, this makes sense, this doesn't. How do you manage your issues? What do the labels mean? The labels aren't clear enough then. The documentation isn't good enough. So those people who are new to your project in tech can add so much value. Utilize that, and they'll probably become your your biggest super fans of your project. All these lights are it's getting quite hot in here now. So yes, apologies for the mumbling.
No worries. And also, if you like, just a quick shout out here, but actually Eddie makes a lot of good content on open source. I've already updated there with his channel link, so you can just go and subscribe there, because there's some very cool stuff about open source that even I have been following. So we have one other question from Karuna, which is: some people connect funds to forking the project or using it. What's your thought on it? Wouldn't it limit users?
Oh, that's an interesting question. You're right. If someone forks this, they're going to take the config with it. That's an interesting one. Someone hasn't asked that question before. Karuna, you meant to ask easy questions. No, I'm joking. It's a great question. Really good question. And that's why I love it. So I've learned something new here because I've never thought of that before. So I'm going to give my thoughts now, but then, tonight and tomorrow, the thoughts are going to improve on that subject. And next time someone asks me, I'll know have a better answer. And also, I can include it in my talk as well. So that's really good. So thank you so much. Love it. My thoughts are what you could do if you really wanted to update it with your kind of contributing thing. You could, because when you create a pull request, you create a pull request in a branch of your fork. So you could update that in the default branch in your fork, and it should never make it to the changes. But to be honest, I think that's a bit cheeky. I don't know. Let me think about that. Karuna, we'll chat in Discord, or maybe start a discussion. Actually, get a green square for today, although Karuna, you probably got 100 green squares for today. But make a discussion either on the Stargate repo or on our support repo in the community organization on GitHub. And let's have that discussion with the community. I think that's a great one. Actually, I don't have a good answer for that. I want to be honest. I thought I did, but now I've thought it through, I don't. I need to think about it more, and let's see what the community thinks. So thank you for that. That's a great question.
Awesome. And I think we are done with all the questions. And
okay,
we can continue now.
Okay, thank you. So those questions were great. Thank you very much, everyone, and Kushi for going through those. So yeah, issue templates, make it easier for everyone. And there is a pull request template, which is very similar. You usually just have one. So just make it easier for people to contribute. Issue template is definitely first priority though. And you might just start with one issue template, then two, then three, and as you think you need more. And remember, all of these files are living files. So don't worry about making it perfect first time. The community can help improve these. Let me actually tell a really quick story. I've got like less than 15 minutes left. But let's make a really quick story. Someone suggested to me, Eddie, can I make add this file to your project? And I want to make it really big. Let me spend a month on it. It's going to add so much value. I promise it's going to be like 2 pages. It's going to be awesome. I'm like, whoa, hold on. Sounds great that you want to contribute to my project. Thank you so much. But don't make it a big pull request. Don't take a month to do it. Have you got one line that you could put in that file now? And they went, yeah, I've got one line. I'm like, brilliant. Create the file, add that one line, make a pull request. Let's get it merged in. But it's only got one line in it. I said, even if the one line says, any questions, come and chat to us on Discord, or any questions, raise a discussion, that's adding value to people. They know where to ask questions. And then other people then can make contributions to that file. Whereas the file's not there, there's no contributions kind of for them to make. So, help people get started. These are all living files. Don't worry about getting them perfect straight away. And make pull requests as small as possible, but good enough to add value. It needs to add value. So if you're adding a new feature or fixing a bug, don't format the entire project in the same pull request. That's just not going to work. That would be 2 pull requests. And you get more green squares. Okay, the other things I want to notice about this repo, again, this is what I notice about other people's projects, is branches. Branches should be a low number. It shouldn't be a big number. It should definitely be single digits. And I usually hover around 3, 4, 5, kind of around mark. Tags are releases. I join them together. You can split them up and do them differently, but usually they join together. And this number will keep increasing, especially if it's automated. It will keep increasing. Excuse me. Issues. I know we've talked about issues templates. Please use issues for your projects. Even if it's only you working on it, use the issues, because other people are not going to work on it if they kind of can't see it's a real organized project. So you use issues. This is such a missed opportunity. And people search for issues, right? They go to the top up here. Let me search. I'll show you. Oh, I hit download. Didn't want to hit download. Open a new tab. There we go. People go here, and it's obviously listing my issues, but they can remove this and they can go search for label good first issue. So forth. And they can search the whole of GitHub. Oh, I didn't spell label right. That's a bit bad. But you get the idea. So I can click on one. Here we go. Ready to test. Not a good example. Or without that one as well. Okay, ignore my search. I'm rushing and making mistakes. But you kind of get the idea. So I can go label good first issue or whatever it is. This is all these different projects. As you can see, different projects now are appearing. So make sure you use issues and labels, and we are going to dig a bit deeper into that at the moment. Actually, you know what? Let's dig straight into it now. Issues. Use issues for your projects, and even if it's only you working on it. And then use the labels. So labels come with like, I think 8 or 9 default. I remove these and I use a standard because every project has different labels and different ways of explaining things. And like docs, might be documentation for someone else, might be this, might be that, all sorts. So make it easy for people to jump from one project to another. And there's an open source standard for labels. And you may think, Eddie, wow, 29. I don't want to create these. I don't want to create them either. So with the help of the community, Nick had already created, I think, most of these, and I exported it using npm package on the command line, and it made a JSON file. And then I found another npm package to import it. So I added the ones I wanted in addition to the 20 that Nick had. And now we have a GitHub action. So if you want these labels, you can actually add them with a GitHub action. And it's like 5 lines of YAML or something. I'll show you in a second. Just copy and paste, literally just copy and paste. You don't have to configure or change anything. Super, super awesome. So use labels correctly so people can find you. And people are picking up these standards more and more. What else? Pull requests. You can make pull requests on your own repo, and you can ask a friend or someone in the community to review your changes. That's a great way to get people involved in your project. Share it in Discord. In our Eddie Hub Discord, we have a content share channel. So you can share it and say, hey, anyone can review this for me? Make it small. Set a good example. Keep the PR focused on solving one particular problem so that make it small and easy for people to review. What you've probably seen is small pull requests have loads of comments, like loads. Everyone's picking up on this and this, and there's a conversation, great collaboration going on. Love it. But you've probably seen big pull requests are complete opposite. And it probably has so many more problems, yet there's less conversations on it. It's because no one has time to review it. And it has less people to look at it. If you're a project maintainer, try and also reply to issues or pull requests within 24 hours. Even if it is, I'll take a look at it at the weekend. People know that we do a lot of these projects on the side. We have day jobs, university, family, whatever it is. But if you can put a comment and say, I'll look at it at the weekend, you can use a GitHub action for this. We do as well. I'll show you again shortly. How we're doing on time. 8 minutes. Okay, we're going to run over. I'm warning you, Kushi, we're going to run over. And I used to be very good at keeping up with my issues and progress, but I got to admit, I get hundreds of notifications on GitHub per day. And so I'm very behind at the moment. Yesterday, I got it down to like 2,500 notifications. Now I'm back up past 3,000. But in my defense, I have an amazing Eddie Hub community who take care of these issues and pull requests already. So a lot of the time when I go see them, they've been dealt with, they've been reviewed, they've had feedback, they've been improvements, they've been merged, they're usually done. So most people aren't waiting on me because the community is taking care of it. And do you know what the great thing is? My clients see this. They're in the Eddie Hub community. And they do ask about a lot of you. I'm sure Kushi has had some messages from my clients as well. So wouldn't it be great to stand out from the crowd and maybe get a job offer when you finish school or change jobs, etc. and so forth? Do keep in touch with these people when they connect with you. Okay, discussions. Discussions is awesome. We don't use it too much in this project. But as I mentioned, it's a great way to start the conversation and then bring the actions, not the GitHub actions, but like, the to-do, whatever we're going to do, the task into the issue section. I think that's really, really important. Let me skip along real quickly. I'll miss that part of my talk. But if you're not planning to use discussions, disable them, like I said. So I haven't got the wiki up here. I've removed it. What else? Yes, I prefer to have the docs, not in the wiki, in a docs folder. And you can see I've got them here. It's a doc. It's very similar to Markdown. Very, very similar. I've got more features though. And then I can actually deploy it to GitHub Pages. So here you go. And this gets deployed to GitHub Pages. All the files get kind of created into a table of contents, and you can do that and so forth. So people can learn about the project, about labels, and so forth. Oh, shit. Sorry, I closed my browser. I did not mean to do that. I meant to close the tab. Okay, one technical issue. Second technical issue for the stream, but the first one wasn't mine in my defense. Okay, Kushi, are you still there? Is everything still good? It should still be good. With all this kit, more to go wrong, but hopefully also less to go wrong.
I'm still here, and it's absolutely
good.
fine.
Okay,
and Pratik is also mentioning about he doesn't want this session to end. It's so informative.
Who said that? Sorry,
Pratik Puri.
Well, I can try and look in the chat for you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that positive feedback. I really, really do. It's so great to get positive feedback, and people don't realize like how awesome it is. So yes, we have an achievements channel in the Eddie Hub Discord, and I love it when people say congrats, well done, this is a great blog post, this is a great achievement. Love that. It goes so far. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And don't forget, everyone, if you want to grow your network and on socials, take a screenshot of this live stream and share something like 1 or 2 or 3 tips that you've learned from this live stream, and Hakon, Kushi, and me tag us, and we will reshare it so you can grow your network and get exposure to our community as well. But you need to add value to it as well, not just the screenshots. Okay. Alex, you're late. Yes, I'm running late as well, so you're going to catch more than you thought. But awesome to have you here. Okay, so I talked about the docs are deployed to GitHub pages. Again, I'll show you the GitHub action. We're going to spend quite a few minutes on the GitHub actions because you're going to see how simple it is. We're going to skip actions tab for the moment, and we're going to go to the projects tab. I'll be really quick on this. Projects tab is like a Trello board, and I don't know why people don't use this more. These are the issues that you saw a moment ago in the issues section, and you will see they have the labels. But the great thing is, you can kind of drag things along if they're blocked or in progress. People kind of know what the priority is, so you can reorder stuff, so lower down and so forth. But people don't know to use this. So if you're not using this, use it. Step 1. Step 2, if you are using it already, you're going to use it. Put it in the README, because for some reason, people don't look at this. They don't think that people use it. So definitely have a link or something to it in the README. I know I've gone to the wrong link. I know I do, and I can probably make that better. So if you can see a way to make that better, let me see. Where do we have it? Here we go. Project board version 1. I've got some notes. If I make that a bit bigger, bolder or something, maybe screenshot, I don't know. Any suggestions and improvements, welcome, because I'm always making improvements all the time. And yeah, you can just create an issue straight from here. Like, it's really straightforward. Do use it. It really helps to get organized with this. And like I said, I use project boards with everyone in my team. This is like, super useful. And you can even automate the moving across when pull requests get created and closed. It can bump along, and issues get closed. It can bump along to different columns. I don't do that. I prefer to do it manually, because then I get to remember the board and maybe rejig things and so forth. So for me, that's important. For someone else, they might want to automate that. I love automation, but not on this page. But yeah, no need for other tools like Trello or Jira. I even manage, like I said, my videos, my video content, everything on here. So GitHub Actions, like, who's excited for GitHub Actions? Write GitHub Actions in the chat. Let's see who's excited. And like Karuna said, start using the project board. It's too good. Exactly. Like, GitHub are doing some amazing things. Let's go have a look at actions. Almost 40 thumbs up. Let's see if we can hit 50 by the end of the stream. So these are my actions that run. You can see they're green. There probably should be some red ones further down. No, there's no red ones yet. Maybe on a separate page. But if they fail, that's good. Don't worry. And then you can filter by different ones, like the docs deployment. I'm sure if I go to the published Docker, there should be a broken one somewhere in there. Yeah, there's some broken ones. And then in the pull requests, if I go to some of the closed ones, you should see these run. View details, so you can see these GitHub actions run. And again, this looks really professional, and you can also protect your branches to say it can't be merged until certain ones are passed, because some might be more flexible, some might not be not. Let's actually have a look at what it takes to create some GitHub actions. I know you're all super excited. Do I see some GitHub actions? GA, yes. Okay. Let's have a look. So let's go to the GitHub folder again. And if we go to the workflows, that's the GitHub Actions directory. And these are the GitHub Actions. So let's pick an easy one. I mentioned labels before. Actually, you know what? Let's pick stale. So here's the stale bot. What this will do is, if it's older than 30 days by default, you can configure it by passing in some extra parameters in the with to say 60 days, 90 days, then mark it as stale if it's an issue or pull request. And then I think after 5 days by default, but again, you can change it. It will then close the issue. It keeps the kind of backlog clean if there's no activity on that issue. And you can schedule it to run as often as you want. It's a Linux cron. That's it. Literally, you could copy and paste this into your project, and you'll have this running on your project. There's no changes to this unless you want to configure it differently, like 30 days is too short, and then the 5-day warning is not enough or something like that. That's pretty simple. So now using GitHub Actions, so your project is standing out already, but we can do even more. Let's have a look at labels. So labels, that's a little bit bigger, but not that much really. So what can we do with labels? Oh, you can actually copy and paste this completely, and then you'll have all the labels. But remember, it will delete your existing labels first. So if you are using the existing labels, you might want to sort those out, or you might have to add new labels to those, because it will delete the existing labels and add the new ones. And all you need to do is copy and paste this. There's no changes to here, because your secrets GitHub token is by default available to you for that GitHub action. And this information is available, and this information. So you don't have to set any secrets or any environment variables. And then you'll get awesome labels in your issue section. But remember to use them. What else have we got? Okay, I know a lot of you are looking at the releases. So who here didn't see the releases? Let me show one last time so you can see, and I'll explain how I've done it. Oh, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Here we go. Issues. Sorry, releases. Here's the releases section. And you can see there are plus 12 releases, and it's got numbers. Just to remind people who have just arrived, these are the releases. So you can see that it's using Semver. It gets bumped accordingly. This was a bug fix, so it got the 1 at the end over the previous one. This was a feature release, so it went from 6 to 7. And if I go down, you can see lots of awesome bug fixes with links to the commits, links to the issues and features and so forth. Like freaking awesome. How do I do that? With no effort at all. Copy and paste this. Literally copy and paste this. One thing you might notice is I have a different token here. I don't have the default token. You can use the default token. The reason why I use a different token here is because my GitHub actions are chained, as in one will trigger another one, which trigger another one. And you cannot use the default secret to trigger another action. So if you're so you will have to, if you copy this directly, you will have to change this either to use the default secret, but another action cannot run after this, or just create a token that you can use for this. By the way, everything else can be copied and pasted. And you're thinking, well, where does it get that information from? Let me show you. If I go back to the commits and go to the commit section, now you'll see we write our commit messages in a certain way. Docs, chore. What else have we got? We had feature and fix. So fix will bump the minor once it's merged into the default branch, and fix will bump the build at the end, which is the 3rd digit, and feature will bump the 2nd digit, which is a minor. So yes, you can do that. Oh, very bad of me, Eddie. That doesn't match. And you can also add a module. So you've got docs or chore or fix. If you put it in brackets, it puts in a module. So therefore, instead of getting that list, if I go back to that list of in the changelog, we won't have an example to show you. But if I go to releases, if we go back to that big list, this is quite a big list, but you can group them together with, if you use it in the brackets before the colon. So have a look at conventional changelog. It is in our docs. So if you go to the project and you click on the link at the top, go to this section, you can go to commits. It's a bit small, let me make it bigger for you. And it explains how to make the commit. So you've got the type, which is docs, fix, features. You can add an optional scope, and you can add a description, and you can also add stuff into the body. By doing that, you're now setting up your project to work with this. So the first step, what I'm triggering on the main, you might trigger on something else, and that's entirely up to you. I'm triggering on the default branch main. And then I've got the first step, checks out the code, it's a given. And then what it's going to do, it's going to use this third-party action that I use. I didn't write anything. I used this. And I just pass in the token. And I don't want it to create a file, but you might want to create a file. Changelog.md in the root file. It creates it for you. And then after that, I wanted to create the release. But if there's no output, there's no changes, then I ask it to skip. Again, you don't have to have that. You can, if you want your numbers to climb faster, you could. And then that's it, really. What else do? I do ask it to the tag, what tag to use and so forth. Some extra configuration. You choose to use that. You can choose to do something else. But that is really it. I mean, that's not that hard, but it makes your project look so epic. I've run 5 minutes over. Am I still okay to go for a little bit longer? Koalia, Control C, Control V. Yeah, that's what I do on all my other projects. I don't write these from scratch each time. So that's kind of how it is. I mean, even Docker. Let me show you my Docker one. It's a bit bigger, my Docker one, because what I do is I build the project, I create an artifact, then I download the artifact and test it. And the reason why I do that is because on the Docker compile section, I want it to use the actual artifact, not another step. So I'm keeping it as kind of clean as possible. And then this is the package registry. I do bump the version. So you'll know, if you notice, one thing you'll notice, I wonder if anyone will notice this. It says 0.8 is the latest release in the releases. But if you also look, if you go to packages, I go to Stargate, which is that project, the latest release is also 0.8.0. Everything is in sync. And then if I went to Discord and run the command, but I can show you a screenshot here instead. If you did exclamation mark Stargate version, it will also show you what version is running, and it will match the latest release because I have everything in sync. The release, the built version to Docker, and the deployed version to Kubernetes cluster is all in sync. And that's really important. By versioning things, people know what version it is. And one thing improvement we have to make is actually to the documentation, because there is no version number on it. There's a date when it got created, date and time, but there is no version number. So what I really want to do is change that to be the version number. And then people, when they take a screenshot, ask for help, I can say, well, what version of the docs are you using? I'm using version 0.7. Or actually, we're on 0.8, so maybe you want to look at that. Again, this is making your project super professional and awesome. You're automating everything. So hopefully you all agree. I see some questions coming in the chat. I mentioned labels. I'm almost done. I am almost done, Kushi. So I've got a conclusion and that's it. Should we take some questions and I'll do the conclusion?
Sure. I already have one up on the screen and it's by the bunch. So the question says, is it okay to contribute directly to the main, or does it need to be a separate branch, especially for some big projects?
I highly recommend always using a branch, especially if it's a fork and it's not like your project, because you will create conflicts for yourself. And you think, well, how's that going to work? If you make a commit, if you fork a project and make a commit to the default branch in your fork and raise a pull request, everything will be fine on your first contribution, on your first pull request. But on your second pull request, you probably get some weird conflicts because you'll need to update your fork with the changes. And depending on how they merged your first pull request, now the changes are going to come in and probably conflict with your commit because they might have squashed your commits and rewritten the history. So you're going to get all these weird conflicts. And what most people do is then delete the fork. And you don't need to do that. It's creating more work for yourself. Fork the project, create a branch from the default branch, call it whatever you want, and make the changes in there and make the pull request from that branch. And then when you want those changes in your fork, you don't merge in your branch in your pull request. You wait for the maintainer to merge it in the original project, and then it will come down into your. I mean, should I do a demo? Would it be make easy? I think that's kind of like, I'm talking about it, but it's kind of like maybe a bit too complicated to talk about. Does that make sense to everyone in the audience, or should I maybe do an example? I don't know.
I think we should let people decide that. Until then, we can have another question maybe.
Okay. But yeah, so answer that directly. Definitely do it. Always do it in a branch. Even in your own repo, I highly recommend it. Your options, you have many more options to do it. And it's just like one extra little step.
Awesome. So we have another question by Kevalia, which is how to decide whether to open a discussion or an issue to discuss something with the maintainer.
It's a great question. I would always say if it's going to be a discussion, if you're raising a bug, then raise an issue. If you're raising a feature idea, maybe raise an issue. But if you're saying, oh, what about this? Have you thought about this? Why did you do it this way? Have you thought about this other alternative? If it's a discussion, I would raise it in a discussion. And then if they say, oh, I like the idea, thank you so much, then you can raise an issue from that. And then you get two green squares. You get a green square for raising the discussion, and you get a green square for raising the issue. So let's just make the green squares grow on trees. That doesn't make any sense, but you all know what I mean.
Awesome. Also, we have Kunal saying if you could do that a little bit. So do you want to demo it, or that's completely your choice?
I'm trying to think. I need to contribute to someone's project real quick. Let me have a look. Let's pick Kushi's one. What's Kushi got?
No, 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 please, 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 no, 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 not me, not me.
Kushi, what's your username?
Not me, not me. I'm actually quite. I have a not very well maintained, but it's okay if you want to do that.
I'm trying to think. Okay, maybe we'll use someone in the chat because I'll need them to merge in the pull request
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
So,
Mine is actually a little bit under progress. It's not well maintained, and I won't
okay,
really.
no
We won't
worries.
actually get a lot of work over there, so that's why.
Okay, no worries. So maybe we'll show that for another time. My point is always work in a branch. I do have a video on how to do this. It's quite straightforward. But the point is that your changes to the forked project shouldn't enter the default branch through your fork. It should come in via the original repo. And I've got a video on this. It's like a 3-minute video. I can share it with you on our
Certainly.
Discord or something like that. I think it's probably much easier. I've got an example actually working through it and then me trying to find a project, get the pull request merged in, and then me
I
pull it down
think
on the rest.
I think Eddie, you'll have to get a demo. So I'll just give you my GitHub profile. I think people need to see.
Okay, that's fine. Give me.
I'm just giving you my GitHub profile. Although,
Okay,
just a disclaimer to all of the people out there, it's not very well maintained, but it's okay. I
that's
think
fine.
the people, yeah,
Even your, I'm sure it's good, but even like your GitHub profile, I can make a contribution to that or something.
sure. I'll just, I've shared the link with you.
Okay, thank you. Karuna says GitHub short. I think I might have done a short on this as well, Karuna. People don't subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch my videos. I don't know. Okay, here we go.
I'll
So
share the link again.
no worries, I'm joking. Thank you. So here's Kushi's profile page. What change could we make that Kushi could accept? Let's have a look. Kushi, any ideas? Do we have any issues that we could just make a change real quick?
I think no, I don't. I think what the one thing that I really feel is that maybe with the languages, I should also include the name of the languages because these are just the like logos for that, and like I
Okay.
know at least a lot of them, but a lot of people might not who are not from that technical background. Like that
Okay,
was
I'm
one
gonna
thing I
make
was
it.
trying.
Don't give
Yeah,
me hard things to do. I want easy things to do. Well, we'll make something easier. Here we go. I'm gonna change the echo code to a link. So let's have a look. So I need a link for Equicode. Is there a link for Equicode? Yeah, here we go, link tree. So I'm going to grab that. So what I'm going to do, copy that, and I'm going to edit this. So let's go into the README, and I'm going to hit edit. I'm going to do this all from the browser, but I will do a step on the command line as well. So I want to fork it. It's already created a branch for me. As you can see from here at the top, you're making changes in the repo you don't have access to. We've created a fork. And you can commit your proposed changes. Awesome. And I will clone the repo. I will clone my fork repo shortly. So the changes I'm going to make is I'm going to put a link on this. So here we go. Link is like so, and like so. And if I go preview, you know that now that's a link. Okay, so that works. So I'm going to do a commit and say made Equicode a link. It's a link. Usually you have an issue number, you follow the practices of the repo, but I'm keeping this short for the live stream because we've gone 15 minutes over already. Right, so it's going to show me the changes I made. It looks good. I know it's late for Kushi in India as well. But it's going to make it from, it's already pre-populated these drop downs. It's going to go from my account, from my forked version in my account of Kushi's repo, from the branch patch 1 into the default branch of Kushi's repo, which is called the upstream repo. So I'm going to hit create, and I'm not going to put description. Really bad. Don't follow this. Always give a description, a screenshot, and so forth. I've created that. So now if I go to my... so Kushi's going to merge that while I show you the next part. So if I go to my project and I go to main, you can see the last commit is on the 30th of March by Kushi, not by me. And if I open Kushi's one in another tab, you can see it's the same, 30th of March by Kushi. Okay, while Kushi's merging that, I'm going to clone my fork. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to clone that. Let me bring up my terminal. I haven't got terminal open. Okay. Why is my terminal not opening? Give me a second.
I think they're
Second
having
technical issue.
I think
Okay,
they're
let me
having
just check.
some glitches.
Okay, no, it's opened. We're good. It opened. My Mac needs reinstalling. Okay, so let me make this a bit bigger. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my repo directory, which is just downloads, repos. And I'm going to clone the repo as you normally would. Git clone, paste. Okay, and as you can see, let me make this a bit bigger still. As you can see, it's my forked version. It's not Cushy, it's Eddie Cushy. So it's my forked version. So I'm going to hit enter, going to clone it. I'll get asked for a password. You won't. It's just the way I've set up my account with SSH keys. And I can go into that project. So if I go into Cushy's project, let me just refresh these pages. Have you merged it, Cushy, already? Have you accepted it?
Yes, I've merged it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So if I refresh my fork, nothing should change. Refreshed it, nothing should change. 30th of March. If I go to Cushy's repo, which is the original repo, and refresh it, it says 44 seconds ago, Cushy merged in my pull request. Okay. So don't forget, mine has not changed. And now if I go on the command line and go git log, it will match my forked version on GitHub, 30th of March by Cushy. So how can I get my changes? Well, one way, which a lot of people do, is commit their changes directly to the main branch in their fork, which is a big no-no. You're going to create problems for yourself, more work. Don't do that. Another way they can do it is they can merge it in, which again creates more problems and is not worth doing that. What you need to do, you type the command git remote -v, and that will show you what your local git repo is pointing to. In this case, it's pointing to my fork. That's what we cloned. This is what we cloned. So we want to add another one. So what we want to do is go to Cushy's one and also take the URL as if we were to clone it, but we're not going to clone it. And we're going to go git remote add, and it's called upstream. So origin, that's why I say original repo isn't a very good name, because it's a bit too confusing to origin. So origin is what you cloned, and then I'm adding an upstream, which is the original, the upstream project. Don't use original, Eddie, it's too confusing. And then I'm going to paste it in. And so what you'll see, if you look at that URL, is Cushy's URL. So hit enter. Now, if I do git remote -v, we'll see two. We'll see origin, which is mine, my fork, and we'll see upstream, which is Cushy's. Still, nothing has changed. If I do a git log, nothing has changed. We haven't pulled any changes down. We have still got the 30th of March. So now we need to bring my changes down. The reason why we bring the changes down like this is Cushy might have squashed the commits and there might be a different history and it would conflict with anything we make changes. So you never make changes to the default branch in a forked project. Never. Okay, so now I've got to remember these commands. I have shortcuts for these, so I'm going to not use the shortcuts. So what I'd want to do is I want to fetch the changes. So I want to go git fetch. Let me remember. Upstream. Hope this is work. Is this going to work, everyone in the chat? I can't remember. Yes, a man says set up an upstream. Yeah. Oh, Karuna says we have an upstream option in GitHub. Yes, a new feature appeared very recently, allowing you to update your fork via the UI. That is very true. That would be a lot easier for me. I should have done that. Karuna, you should have told me that before. But now I've started on the command line. I will finish. Do you think this is correct, Cushy? I can't remember. Git fetch upstream main, I think. Let's try it. I cannot remember.
I think
I always forget. Let's try it. Let's see.
I think this would be the one, but I'll just check until we'll just try that out.
Or you can even be specific and say git fetch upstream. And what it will do, it will fetch everything. So now I fetched everything. Let me fetch everything rather than a specific branch. And what a fetch does is it downloads it, not into your working directory, but into your kind of Git area that you're not working on, but it is there, so you can work offline and so forth. And now I've got that. It says I've got a new branch main, which I didn't have before, and it's upstream main. So the next steps, if I do a git log again, it still says the 30th of March. So what I need to do next is git merge, because I want merge brings it in. So Remember, git pull is a fetch and a merge. It's just like a shortcut. So we fetched it. So now we're going to merge it. So we'll git merge upstream main. I'm pretty sure this is a command. Let's find out. Yes. And so now I've done that. It's brought it into my local working directory. So if I go git log, we can now see the 25th of May. So that now bumped down is the 30th. So you can see this is my commit, made echo code a link. And then this is the commit where Kushi merged it. So that's how you keep it up to date. But if I go to GitHub and I go to my fork and I refresh it, there is no change. It still says the 30th of March. I need to push up that change. So I'll go git push origin main, and that will push it to my forked version. And if I had permissions to the original repo, I could push it to the upstream repo, the source repo. I could, but it's very rare that you do that. So that's how you kind of get that cycle going round. Hopefully that makes sense and I haven't confused people.
No, I think you also actually in this whole case inspired me to work more on my GitHub profile since it's not very well updated.
No, it's good. It's looking good. What does everyone think of Kushi's GitHub profile? I think it looks good. Let's actually look at the green squares. Kushi, we talk after the stream. You and me, you're in trouble. No, I'm joking. It looks good.
That's why I was actually hiding it from Eddie. Okay, Eddie, don't actually just fire me again, please.
Yes, you're fired.
I have a reason.
Okay. Shall I do my conclusion? It'll take like 30 seconds.
Sure. Please do that.
Just want to say thank you everyone for watching and being here. I really, really appreciate it. Just to conclude, use the features that GitHub gives you, but don't use all of them. You don't have to use every single one, and just disable the ones you're not using. And one last thing I'd like to say is automate everything. Just automate it, and automate it a bit at the time, and use GitHub Actions. And remember, your project is a living project. And last shout out to Hackon, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for having me. And shout out to myself as well, that I have a free download project maintainers checklist that you can download for free to make sure you set up your project correctly. And don't forget to subscribe to Hackon's YouTube channel below and subscribe to one of mine or both of mine channels too. Thank you.
Yes. And I've already shared the link to Eddie's YouTube channel. Please do that. And see, people are already now blaming me for not updating my GitHub profile and not getting some green squares, but it's okay. I have a reason. I'll soon, I have a proper reason for that, but I think I'm getting fired again by Eddie. It's okay.
No worries.
People had a lot of fun here.
I'm loving Karuna's comment. Kushi's not brushing teeth. Kushi, brush your teeth. Okay, it's metaphorically speaking, brush your teeth with the green squares. Yes, we'll keep nudging Kushi to do that. I love that. We all support each other, right? We don't put each other down. We push each other up, and I really love that. And the community does that for me as well. And I really, really appreciate that. The community is amazing. I wouldn't be where I am without the community, and I want to bring the community along with me on my journey and my adventures. And I want to join them on their journey and their adventures as well. So it's awesome. And just to answer Ashwin's point, well, it's not a question, just saying they use GitHub Desktop, whatever works. To give an example, before I started doing YouTube and live streams, I thought a phone, a webcam wasn't enough. I thought I had to save up to get all the fancy kit that you see here. And I wasted like 2 years saving up to get the kit and all the rest. And my biggest regret is I didn't start sooner. So I love that. If you're not comfortable or you don't want to use Git or the desktop GUI is easier for you and it allows you to make contributions and get involved in open source, do it. Love it. Don't let anyone say anything different. Whatever allows you to achieve your goal. If your goal is to learn the Git CLI, then that's different. Then you'd want to practice and play with it. But if your goal is to contribute to open source projects, put your projects out there, contribute to your own, and you're using the GitHub GUI, that's fine. Do it because it allows you to get to your goal. Green square a day keeps Eddie away. That's true. I'm going to start chasing you all.
And I've already shared the link to the project maintainer checklist by Eddie in the comment section as well. You can also check that out because I saw Prathamesh asking for the link. Okay. And yeah, he said it is really well made and it does help out a lot.
Thank you so much. Awesome. I really appreciate that.
And we still have almost 20 people watching you, Eddie. So I think it's been 1.5 hours, but people are still enjoying the session. And even I enjoyed it a lot. I think this was the most fun session I had until now. So thank you so much, Eddie, for coming here and joining us. Although we had some technical glitches, folks, but I think it's all okay. We had a fun session, and I think work from home is always there. And Kevala says one pose for
Yes,
screenshot,
let's do
please.
it. Perfect.
Yeah, that.
Thank you
I
so
think
much,
we'll do
Kawalia.
that.
I look forward to seeing that. I'm going to retweet that. Thank you.
And thank you so much, everyone, for staying until now. We do have something for you as well. So, because you've stayed until now, we have a participation certificate for you all. I've already shared the link to that in the chat, and you can also see the link from here. So, go and also grab your participation certificates. And the HackCon is really close. It's on 28th of May. And we have some really fun activities. We have some really fun prizes for you all as well. But I think more than the prizes and activities, it's about contribution and it's about hacking all together and learning and sharing together. So do join us for this weekend. It's going to be an amazing one. And thank you so much, Eddie, for joining us. I think I enjoyed the session the most. And I always love geeking out with Eddie. I never miss a chance to geek out with him. So yeah, thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you. I
And
had so much fun as well.
awesome. And I think we should end the stream now because it's almost 1.5 hours. We have already sketched it over.
Sorry for keeping everyone late.
No worries. In India, people are the developer world is actually used to staying up late now.
It's true. But I also want to promote work-life balance. So everyone go get some rest and then be fresh for tomorrow.
Awesome. So bye everyone, and we'll end the stream now. We'll see you soon, and bye bye.